Haunted city we go, looking for addicts. So throw me them infinity stones and let's get at it. The master of Gavin, about to come in attractions. They marvel at the way I push the Millennium Falcon. So strap in, and we can see what's on tap. Nerd Mafia, forget about it. We run laps, 12 parsecs, maybe less, and done flat. Good fella, here to bless them all with fun facts. I got that lightsaber handy, cutting through the fluff when discussing the families. On this adventure, the podcast Avenger, it's Hulk talk. They don't want to see us when we angry. Once they start the camera, we be dropping Thor's hammer with the intellect of banner in the MCU manner. While the mob is tuning in so they can hear us on the scanners, and it's coming every week. You can stick that in your planner. The Iron Man of hero talk, like it or not, with a scoop of them three-piece suits mixed in the pot. When it comes to giving facts, we already a lock. It's Nerd Mafia, hoping y'all are ready to rock.
Leave the gun. Technical only.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
What's up, everybody?
That intro was hot. I loved it.
Your intros never cease to amaze me, but that was probably the best one I've ever seen.
That's the one that took me the least amount of time. It took me forever this week. But
freaking amazing. It was great.
Anyway, welcome to the stream, everybody. It's Nerd Mafia, Santa, and Sheev, the Wise, aka Vader's Lair. Tonight we got a big night. We're going to talk about the finale of The Mandalorian Season 3. And stay tuned. If you commented on one of my shorts, because I only did shorts for The Mandalorian, then we'll spin the wheel of destiny right here. And you will be able to get a chance to win this this Mandalorian Funko Pop. She's got one entry. He's hoping for a miracle again. And honestly, I'm kind of rooting for you because I'm not sure who the other people are. But
got to throw out the Hail Marys once in a while.
But anyway, guys, we had a lot of expectations. I know I probably built myself up way too much before I came into this Mando episode, and we got an episode. So, how are you guys feeling? What's on your minds? I'm honestly still kind of thinking about what I watched this morning. I
loved it, and I know. I think I'm somewhere around a 9 out of 10 on it. It was fantastic. It did a good job of wrapping up the story. Moved things forward where I wanted to see them go. There was a couple disappointments, so I didn't give it a 10 out of 10. But I think overall, just looking at the scope of it and what it accomplished within that scope, we got clarity on what was going on with Moff Gideon, and I got to see that come to its conclusion. And I'm in the group that thinks he's dead. I think he's as dead as Phasma. So if Phasma ain't dead, then maybe he ain't dead too. But I think they're both dead.
Listen, out of every wild prediction or expectation I had for this episode, that is the one thing I think I got right. So I'm happy about that.
It was good, and I like where we went with Bo-Katan, and I think the question on a lot of people's minds at this point is, where will season 4 go? What's left? What's the next part of the story? And I think for me, the best I can put it in kind of relative terms is we're sort of the Return of the Jedi moment from the original trilogy and Luke Skywalker, right? It concluded, the Emperor's gone, Vader's gone, and the story is sort of at a nice point for the end of that trilogy. But Luke Skywalker's story is not over, right? There's other things come after that. And without getting into the folks that would tear down, Last Jedi and Luke from the sequels, there's a long time period that happened between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. Luke's story went on. There were other things that happened. I look forward to seeing those make it to Disney Plus at some point. But that's where I think we are with Mando. We just finished the Return of the Jedi kind of moment. The Moff Gideon's gone, but there's another thread out there, and I want to throw this out to you guys. I'll hold on to it, but let Sheev talk about his thoughts on the episode. But the question I have that we can come back to is from all the way from season 1, when there was a bounty out for Grogu. Do you think it was 1 bounty or 2? And the reason I say that is IG-11 had a very clear mandate: kill. And when Din Djarin was given his mandate, it was capture the
preferably alive, dead if there's like no other because bounty hunting's a complicated profession, you know what I mean?
That's exactly what they say. So I think there were 2, and we know now there's 2 cloning projects, right? Gideon had his own cloning project. His cloning project was very focused on himself. He wanted to bring together cloning.
True. I was thinking about this the other day. So keep going.
Yeah, he wanted to put Force power in and Mandalorian. He wanted to combine the 3. And so he had the idea of that. And he had the bounty out. We know he had the bounty out that Din Djarin got. We know that because Dr. Pershing worked for Moff Gideon. That's all his project. With the other project would have involved the Emperor, Mount Tantus, and that whole
Hux and all of them, right?
Exactly.
The remnants or the First Order, what eventually it's going to become.
Exactly. And we had Order 66 with the Jedi killing them. I don't think they had any qualms at all about an escaped Force user being put to death.
Yeah,
that's what I think. That all the way, I think that was Hux, or maybe not him directly.
So,
but I think
I was gonna say, do you think that Hux maybe was like working with the what was his name, the Collector, or what was the guy's
client
name? The client, yeah, back in season 1, Werner Herzog, right?
Yeah.
What if he was working with Hux and everything, and had Dr. Pershing working alongside him, and then when all of that happened, and Din just busted the place up, like, what if it was Moff Gideon that the remnants were like, yo, go deal with this. There's this Mandalorian guy that just messed up one of our, Imperial warlord guys, like, go deal with this. And they send Moff Gideon, and that's when he's like, this Persian guy could be pretty useful to what I'm trying to do. And that's when he ends up,
Perhaps.
intercepting him. Like, it sounded like the Shadow Council was kind of inferring that he took Pershing and was going to give them research that he never did.
Right. And if you go, and I keep saying this on different contexts, the Aftermath novels are really, really good, because you get to see where these different Moffs are kind of doing this backstabbing to one another, trying to one up one another, and they're each trying to get a leg up on the other guy to become the guy, right? I want to be the guy. And so they're kind of doing things to subvert the others and kind of throw them off the game and put themselves ahead. And so I think very well we could have had Gideon at that point saying, Hux is doing this thing. Oh, wait a second. He's got a bounty out for this Force user. Oh, I've got an idea. I need a Force user. I'm going to put it into my clones. And you end up with 2 bounties.
I think I was echoing maybe not in that much detail, but the general theme of that too. Like when I jumped on talking to you, Jason, and Meg that one day for the member stream, everybody was really convinced he had something to do. Well, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people were saying he had something to do with a connection to Thrawn or Snoke. And
right,
I'm happy I at least read that right. I just watching this episode though. I'm not gonna lie, I was just really hoping we got more Rebels characters. I kept even with the fruit that they find, Grogu,
the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, they're just throwing all these little Easter eggs everywhere. There's got to be more Rebels.
I feel like the fact that they had all of those little details throughout the entire season, whether it was the Purgle, You know, they had so many Phantom Menace and Rebels references throughout this entire season, it seemed like. And that there were a lot of Rebels references, and I think that's kind of just a nod that we're getting closer and closer to the Ahsoka show. That's 3 months out. You know what I mean? And that's gonna give all of us Rebels fans that were like, you know, oh, we saw Zeb. Like, where's the rest? Like, it's coming. It's coming in the Ahsoka show, and I'm definitely excited for it after all the teases that we got this season. I kind of was hoping for at least like a little bit of a post-credit scene, and to me, like I was really happy with the season overall. The ending of the season in particular, it felt a little bit rushed on the back half, or like they jammed almost all of the Imperial plot into the end, even though it was trickled throughout the entire season. But it felt like not rushed, but it was like all of a sudden, here's Moff Gideon, who knew where they were. We all got thrown off by the spies title, and we're like, "Who's the spies?" None of them are the spies.
Actually, all of them are the spies.
Yeah,
if you look at it from that biblical standpoint, right? When they go in, yeah.
And I mean, my other thing was that it was Elia Kane, of course, and then the Shadow Council even talks about, and a lot of people I think overlook this, the fact that there's Imperial loyalists throughout every planet in the entire galaxy. Like, there's spies for the Empire essentially throughout the entire galaxy. So like we're all like looking at the Mandalorians like, who's the spy? And it's like, well, the Imperials just said who the spies are right when it went to the title card that said the spies.
I totally whiffed on that. If you guys have seen,
we all did. I apologize, Armor. I was taking shots.
I did you one better, man. I tried calling out the Mandalorian like survivors, and then the way I put out the video, I like watched it back. It sounded like I was calling out the Armor, and I wasn't. I'm like,
well, Shiva's apology too. Is I had somebody do predictions, and they thought it was going to be Maul clones. And I'm like, I know where you got that idea. You bought Sheev's crazy tinfoil hat theory, and you put it into your prediction. So you owe them a point.
Yeah, I do. Take that one off of me and give it to them, Santa. That's
I'm just
funny.
upset you didn't get to read my prediction this week. It was like,
I did read it, but it's you know, you got to live read it.
You guys would have liked the video I was editing even better. Whew. Talk about tinfoil hat.
We got to the last 2 episodes. I just decided, like, all right, I'm mathematically out of this. I'm just gonna write a paragraph for my prediction each time.
It was great, and I had fun with it this morning on my muted video. It was great.
Oh,
Nobody will know it because
I basically drew out a whole.
I was
scenario.
watching the replay, and I was like, "Is there no audio, or is my headphones not working?"
Santa's an idiot.
I've been there, my guy.
Yeah, we all have. It happens. Yeah, I painted a scenario where Din is hanging upside down for whatever reason in the debriefing room, and Bo finds him, and then they share a Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst kiss. That's how I thought it was gonna go down. And then it got a little bit crazier because Grogu walked in on the middle of them getting hot and heavy. And he's counseling now. Basically, that's where we got.
All we really needed at the end when Din's out there, sitting on the porch, and Grogu's with the egg, with the frogs. All we needed is for Bo to come out of the hut, kind of straighten her.
Did you guys find it a little bit odd that like? Don't they technically still have all this land? He's like, oh, by the way, I got a little hut for you. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, this is all my territory over here.
Well,
you gave me something?
He was giving it to all the Mandalorians, not just Din. Like, he didn't give him the whole 40 acres or whatever. He gave him the one.
Guess what? All Mandalorians are gone, so he's the only one laying claim.
True.
Hey, maybe he likes just having a small little space and all the extra, yard for Grogu to play.
What other?
I feel you.
What other rumors that we had that didn't play out? Like, we had strong rumors about, or strong hints that Fen Rao was going to show up. I was really hyped about that.
Well, Meg was in on that, and a lot of that had to do with the actor, and she was reading into it and making some fan math on there. And then when we found out that wasn't the character they were playing, she had to back off that prediction. The other one is we heard that Mon Mothma was seen being around the sets. that she was definitely there during some filming. And so it's like, okay, as we got further into the season, well, it's got to be the next. It's got to be the next. And so, no Mon Mothma. That was a big.
I think that can be explained with the Ahsoka show, like the fact that two shows were probably shooting around the same time and everything too.
They were.
And we already know that Mon Mothma's in it from seeing her in the trailer, so that's definitely probably where it kind of plays in.
Yeah. So there was that, and then there was Jason had the mythosaur kind of breaking through the surface and kind of. And that didn't happen either. And then I think what happened there is we did have the scene in The Spies where that dinosaur creatures like comes up and the earth all breaks and all that. So somebody just didn't get the timing right on it and didn't get the identification of
They
that.
thought it was a mythosaur potentially. Like I thought it was the first time I saw it. I'm like, is that a mythosaur?
Yeah.
Still, nobody wrote it though. Just saying.
Yeah. I was watching EBN and Echo Base Network, and I saw Coach in the chat. Oh, that was the mythosaur. I'm like, dude, that was not the mythosaur. And then, and so, we thought that. So I could see where those lines could get crossed, and somebody said, "Oh, there's going to be a mythosaur. It's going to break up out of the earth, and it's going to do this." Well, I mean, a thing sort of like that happened, but it wasn't a mythosaur, and certainly Bo wasn't riding it. So.
I think that's what hit me. Just all the things that I thought were coming didn't, and I think that kind of got in my headspace. And now I need to like rewatch it and just enjoy it for what it was, because I'm like, where's this? Where's that? I'm picking.
So what do you think about Din Grogu?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too, right? Like, so does that mean Din Djarin's first name is technically Djarin, and it's kind of like
Well, everybody's been like Yoda around him.
Oh, backwards.
Djarin, you are. Djarin did. Really, his first name's Djarin. We just been.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
Oh, Skywalker, Luke, you are. Right? Like,
but then I was like thinking about it on my lunch break too. They don't call her like Kryze Bo-Katan, or Kryze Satine. They call him Satine Kryze and Bo-Katan Kryze. Like.
Yeah.
Is it because they're children of the Watch? Like, what?
Or is it a title? Like, is Din a title somehow? I was really
like Darth killed your father until they made Darth a name, a title. It's weird. It's weird. I mean, it flows better, Din Grogu, than Grogu Djarin.
Probably.
But dang, it's like, what?
Yeah, that. I don't know what else to say about that. That porch scene was like delightful.
It was awesome. I loved seeing Grogu get adopted by Din there at the end of the season. That was real sweet.
The other little bit of that porch scene is Grogu's continuing to use the Force, right? So he's continuing to meditate. He's not just getting that frog to eat it, right? He's just kind of manipulating it in the air and just spending some time with that. So that it shows that he's continuing that progression that he was doing with Luke.
I see where Don's going with this. Din isn't born Mando, and that's his original name. So yeah, maybe Din isn't his original name, but that's like the name that he was born into or like brought into.
Or Djarin isn't his name, right? He was Din.
Well, I think it's Din because it's being passed on to Grogu, right? So then Djarin is probably what his name is, but then maybe it's Djarin Bridger.
I see what you did.
What Don's at. That's what Don's getting at. Hey, there's the long-standing rumor that Din Djarin is the brother of Ezra Bridger. So there you go.
It's a long-standing rumor in Sheev's head.
No.
There's a lot of fans.
Sheev takes ownership of the Darth Maul clones. He takes ownership of that. But this didn't come from Sheev.
I'll take ownership of this over the Darth Maul clones. And the Darth Maul clones was the one I thought of.
Sheev hit me up like last week and said, "Hey, can you hook me up with that photo?" I was like, "Sure." And I said, like, I've got a wild theory I'm working on. And then I started in my prediction, like, Sheev, You go. I've seen somebody bought your crazy theory. They put your tinfoil hat on.
That's hilarious.
God. I honestly didn't think we'd even get a mention of clones. That kind of. I mean, obviously he alluded to it the episode before. I just really didn't see them going there. I wasn't mad at it, but I was like,
I felt like it was brought up like real quick, but it makes sense with the setup in seasons 1 and 2. And I'm Santa kind of made his stance pretty clear earlier in the stream already. But what do you think about Gideon potentially showing back up later on in the season? Because like to me, that cloning scene where Din like seemingly destroys all the tanks and everything, like the fact that one of them opened their eyes like stood it out to me. You know what I mean? Like and I'm wondering like what if that one in particular ended up getting out of there? You know what I mean?
Well, we could get a crazy clone being that's maybe force sensitive, that is a little wacky. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
It happens to come into Thrawn's story in some.
Yeah, you know, Savioth or something.
What? Oh, yeah. Mm.
I hope they don't. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
it seems like it's like all right, we killed, we played this character to death. Literally.
One of my other million theories that I had with all the cloning tanks was that Gideon was gonna clone Balin and Shin in the Ahsoka show, because both of them have this gray white hair that Omega has as well, and they seemingly are like force sensitive dark Jedi like Savioth is, and it seems like they're working for Thrawn potentially. I don't really know, but I don't know. Like they kind of give me Savioth vibes for the Ahsoka show as well.
Hey, how ruthless is it that he drowned those clones? Like that was what made that clone open his eyes, is because it removed the air.
You're thinking he's alive, but like, how are they breathing in the tank?
They had the air apparatus in, and then Din is over there beep 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 beep, and it removed the tube.
Clones are not people, apparently.
Yeah, no, he literally says to Grogu, he's like, "That's not Gideon." Just kill them all.
But then Gideon says, "You drowned them before they could take their breath." Right?
So evil.
Yeah,
that Din Djarin.
Yeah, two nitpicks. Mostly nitpicking at me, Hawk, and Obsession from the other night. We literally went off on a whole tangent of like how stupid is Paz for telling this guy to fly up and get reinforcement. Who are you getting? They're off the planet. What are you gonna do? Jetpack up to the ship? And he jetpacked up to the ship. So I'm like, didn't know that was the thing Mandalorians could do at all. What the hell? Like, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Like, let's start with that one.
Made sense to me.
Well, you know, in Star Wars, travel is a thing of convenience. So if you're you're going from one place to another, distance doesn't matter. Story time matters. So how long it takes you to get from point A to point B is what the story demands. Same thing here.
Yeah, I mean these characters literally go light speed. We don't know how time works with the whole traveling. It's
the same thing. The story demand is that he gets there. So
it was just hilarious. We were bagging on Paz. We're like, this moron tells him to leave, and then just like kills himself basically. And then I was even going a step further, like going to the last episode. It's like dude's gun overheats, right? So he just throws it at somebody and then uses his bare hands. It's like, hey guy, you just took out like 4 troopers with guns. Why not pick up one of those? Maybe that'll help against the guards. I don't know. We went on this whole tangent and then we end up just looking like idiots because of the way the story played. That was the funniest thing to me. As I watched that happen like this morning. The other thing, this is a legit nitpick. So the Darksaber is made of Beskar. Like I looked this up in like 5 different places. The hilt is made of Beskar. How the hell did Gideon just like crush that with his hands?
I was kind of nitpicky about it too. I will say that the symbolism of it being destroyed is definitely very powerful in this episode, where three Mandalorians that are so different and unique and coming from different backgrounds ended up protecting each other and unifying together to defeat Moff Gideon, who was just like trying to use their tools and not really knowing the whole mythology and everything behind it. Like, so the symbolism of the fact that the dark saber was destroyed, I think, was powerful. But to your point, like, I was a little head scratched, like, the dark saber really just broke like that.
Well, you got to think too. I mean, his armor is Beskar, and it not only that, but he had some servos and stuff that were helping power it. So it's not like the saber itself. The hilt is solid Beskar, right? It's a Beskar encasing that holds the.
There's parts of it that's not quite all metal, you know what I mean? Like, it's reinforced around it, but
it's plastic sheet, so
I mean, it's designed off the thing, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and it's got the mechanisms inside of it, right? So it's that you can bend Beskar with his armor that's servo enhanced.
Yeah. The other thing I was thinking right away is it's like, all right, we can rebuild this. It's not that big of a deal. Like,
that's
probably,
totally
but then they dropped a whole ship on the thing, and I don't know if anybody grabbed it. Hopefully, because the Skywalker saber just like randomly appears out of nowhere all the time, so it's possible.
Yeah, that can totally be fixed.
I mean, yeah.
Worst case, it'd be cool to see Grogu down the line kind of forge his own and it end up being kind of similar. You know what I mean?
Well, the point is Grogu's lifespan is so long. 400 years from now, he could go back and excavate it and build it.
Yeah, right.
Okay? And long after these people are ancient history, right?
Oh,
Think about the history of the United States isn't even that long.
I was thinking to myself too when you're like hearing Axe Wolves' plan like come out, and he's like, "I'm gonna destroy the base." I'm like, "Whoa, hold up! What do you mean you're gonna destroy the base? That's your forge. What are you doing? No! Like, why would you do this?"
I don't know if it was exactly the forge because obviously we
No,
saw them there at the end. But
yeah.
Well, those were new ones though, right? Weren't those ones from Navarro? It almost looked like that wasn't like the giant one.
I think it was
but where he crashed it in wasn't where the forge is.
What? Okay.
Yeah, it's like a different little section, but it's near it, right? Something
Right.
like that. I would imagine.
Well, because we see in I rewatched the Spies.
Yeah,
And when they come in, they're at the forge.
Okay.
And they're like, "Oh, this is the forge, blah, 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 blah." And then they
get ambushed at the forge, right?
And then they go throughout there and they work their way over to the base. And they come out and like, "Oh," and then you see all the TIE interceptors and all that. So that's a different part. And that's Axe crashed the ship into where the TIE interceptors were, the base part, not the forge.
Did you guys notice like the shortness of the episode at all?
Yeah, I took notes. It's 42 minutes. We have 5 minutes credits at the end, 2 minutes at the beginning. So 7 minutes off of 42, 35.
Like, did it feel short to you though?
It felt like they packed a lot into it. Like, it wasn't like a full like hour length. You could tell like it didn't feel like a full hour length episode for sure, but it didn't feel like particularly short either. Like, it felt like they jammed in a satisfying ending. At times though, it did feel like half the episode was kind of like it. I know it was definitely most of the episode was spent like fighting Gideon and everything, but it feels like half the episode was fighting Gideon, and then it's like the epilogue of it, or like sort of like thing where it sets up Din getting his own place and everything. It feels like that's half the episode, even though it's really like 2-3 minute like clip.
Yeah, we're gonna. If I were going to nitpick that ending montage bit, making the trip out to talk to Carson Teva, and then going to Navarro, that two-prong thing seemed a bit pushed in there. Go to one or the other, but to go to both seemed a little convenient for the story. Yeah, especially since the IG head was there so that they can reprogram it. Like, okay, that was a story convenience rather than something that really, really, I mean, it was good.
It was kind of set up for probably his future story too. You're right. Like that's kind of what it felt like for me. Him talking to Carson Teva was like, what he's going to be doing in either season 4 or maybe in Ahsoka if he ends up popping up potentially. So,
Oh, that's absolutely a way to kind of like bring him into the fold against Thrawn now, because if he's going to be, he says it like he can't. It's hard for you guys to protect the outer rim, so you're getting towards the boundary, I guess, a little bit.
yeah, it's a good way for him to make money, and he probably thinks it's a good way to protect Grogu from not doing his like dangerous bounty hunting missions. But really,
Well,
if you're working for the New Republic in the Outer Rim, that's pretty dangerous.
well, they specifically sent them off Mandalore for Grogu to do his trials. So, we don't yet have the full context of what qualifies as a trial and how many of these trials do they need to complete. Are they keeping a record journal book and sending it in to get a report card, or what? How's that work?
Hey,
I don't know.
I was a little confused about that too. I didn't know the lore like mandated they go out off planet like that.
Yeah, I mean, they said, fine, okay, he's Din Grogu now. Now you must leave Mandalore and complete his trials. Like, okay, so I reckon you're fixing to send what's his name? The other kid. I guess you're fixing Ragnar, yeah. But I guess Ragnar's getting ready to get the boot too, because that's the way.
Yeah, go off with your dad. Oh wait.
That
was the other thing too. I talked about I loved the episode, but at the end I'm like, yo, nobody talked about how Paz is dead. They're just like, oh, forget about him. Like,
yeah,
like what happened?
Brendan Wade put that thing out there, like maybe this is too rough, right? Like, I thought, oh, there's going to be this moment where we see Ragnar they'll have this ceremony, and his dad will be laying there on the funeral pyre, so to speak, right? I don't know if that's how Mandalorians take care of their dead, but he's going to be there, and he's going to have his dad laid out there, and that's going to be a sad moment.
Yeah, I don't understand how he was like, this is going to hurt too much.
Right? No, you're baptized now. Go off planet with somebody, do some trials. See you later. I don't know. How does that work?
It would have been better to me if you went to go get baptized and this is what came up again.
I did love the fact that Grogu seemed to like sense it. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Yeah.
Like Grogu kind of was like looking in the waters like, yo, something's in there. And then it like went into the mythosaur. Like
Yeah.
I was like in my Discord, I'm like, that's totally gotta be teasing that Grogu's gonna ride that thing one day and like, become the next Mandalore at some point.
How about the fact though that like Din pretty much argues with the armor that Grogu's ready to say the creed and become a apprentice? Doesn't that mean he can be baptized too? Like what? I was getting hyped up for a split second. I'm like, ooh,
I was all like,
the Grogu helmet. Like,
I thought about that after. I'm like, doesn't that mean he could technically, if he took the creed, doesn't he get a helmet too? And then I'm like, maybe they'll do that in the beginning of season 4. But I didn't even catch the part that Santa's talking about of like the trials. Like maybe he has to go complete his trials before he can get that helmet.
So Ragnar's still already done his trials. So it apparently goes from foundling to apprentice to whatever Ragnar is.
A Ragnar.
Orphan.
Oh my god, too soon.
Ow.
Yo. Nobody else cared in the episode.
We don't even know if this kid's got visible blood, okay? Like what is he to me?
Oh god. That's brutal.
He's got his little baby helmet with the wide view, like that's not.
Oh man.
Chaos.
Too soon.
Poor Ragnar, man. That's ruthless.
That was rough.
What'd you guys think of IG-12 going back to IG-11 in the episode? Like, I loved the fact that we got IG-12 and having Grogu in the mech. Like, that was such a fun little idea to me, but it felt so short-lived having him go back to IG-11 by the end. And then I started to think about it at work today too. I'm like, that little red compartment. What if he could just like, you know, the Anzellans made it to where he could just like, you know, transform and just like opened up a little compartment for Grogu still.
IG-11, IG-12, IG-11, IG-12.
Yes.
It's like Grogu's freaking like Iron Man power.
Yeah.
I had that stored in the back of my head, thinking the whole time. It's like, all right, he's gonna get like shot in the chest or something. Like, something's gonna happen. Why did they give her this giant medallion, this armor? Like, how is Grogu even walking at this point? I don't know. He's gonna use the Force just to move with that Beskar around his neck. Like,
How heavy is Beskar though? You know, might be light. I don't know.
Yeah, and it could be kind of like, you know, what's the vibranium in MCU where it's, you know,
is
all
that
sorts
light,
of
though?
fun stuff. I'd imagine Captain America throws it around like it's light, but then again, he's super strong. So
Yeah, he's built different.
So as a season as a whole, season 3, if you were to say like season 1, season 2, season 3, where would you rank 3 among the seasons?
I'll go first. I'd say it reminded me a lot of season 1. Like looking back, how season 1 played out. Even season 2, like the first 3 seasons have had this, you know, poetry because it's Star Wars, where it's kind of, you know, fun adventure at the beginning. Din Djarin's kind of set off on this quest, and then it's like, you know, the last like 2 or 3 episodes, we get the Gideon Empire kind of conflict, and then it's resolved by the end. But so it's kind of followed that same kind of cycle through these first 3 seasons. And it felt a lot like the first season, where at the end of it, it wasn't a huge, you know, Luke Skywalker moment. It was, you know, a fight against Gideon, where at the end of it, Gideon's like, you know, we see that he's still alive and he's holding out the Darksaber. And it's like, yo, that's a crazy ending. You know what I mean? So this kind of felt a little more along those lines to season 1, but you know, a step improved. I thought that this was definitely a step up from season 1, even though season 1 definitely has like some definitely heartfelt moments to me, and some moments that, you know, as a Star Wars fan will live on forever, and as like, you know, infamous moments, not infamous, but, you know, incredible moments that I'll never forget. And then season 2, like season 2 is probably still like just above season 3 for me, just because like there's moments like bringing in characters into live action for the first time, whether it's Ahsoka, you know, not Satine, Bo-Katan for the first time, and then seeing that Luke Skywalker finale at the end of season 2. Like it was hard to really top that for season 3, and I don't think they had to. But I really did like what they did in season 3. I do think it is like almost on par with the level that season 2 was. Like, again, it's hard to get to that Luke Skywalker level, but it definitely did it for me, and I really enjoyed season 3 a friggin' lot. Like, it was a fun ride for me.
Short answer: She's got it at 2.
Yeah, that's what I you got 1, 3, 2, right? I would put, or I mean, no, you've got 2, 3, 1.
Yeah.
That's what Sheev's got 2, 3, 1. I would probably, I'm close to Sheev on that. I would put season 3 in the middle. But I'm probably flipping 1 and 2, because if you take out just the Luke Skywalker scene at the very end, right, take the season as a whole. Season 2 had some wonky moments in it to me. So plus they destroyed the Razor Crest right after I paid all that money. So,
I mean, that felt a lot like the Darksaber this season. The Darksaber getting crushed felt a lot like when we lost the Razor Crest. I'm like, dang it, we keep losing these cool things. Like,
oh man. So I go probably 1, 3, 2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we all have completely different answers, because I'm going like 2, 1, 3. So yeah, I didn't hate the season by any stretch of imagination, but season 2, obviously the last episode makes that whole season worthwhile. while. Like,
Season 2 had so much though. Like Boba Fett came back into canon.
Oh
for the
yeah,
first time
I'm saying
too, like
even if it didn't, it wouldn't matter because that last episode, it's
it
just not a
was.
loser to me.
No, yeah, they're all epic though. I think all 3 seasons are definitely some of the best that Star Wars has to offer, in my opinion.
I agree.
Even if we didn't get any Bo plus Din equals sin, we got none of that.
I think it's coming. I'm not ruling it out yet.
Yeah, I saw some funny stuff online already between you two speculating too. It's who knows?
Yeah.
Have you seen any Twitter hate going on at all yet?
Not me.
One
I
critic.
haven't been on Twitter enough today to check, but
Yeah, I've been at the convention, and so I haven't been on social media too much. I'm aware of some criticisms, and some of it, our friend Star Wars Meg was sending some direct messages this morning. She's a little salty, but I think she'll warm up to it over time, I hope. But right now she's not on board. Yeah.
Is Meg veering towards the dark side a little bit over the past?
Oh, and this, yeah. The episode and the season. Yeah, she's down on both, but we'll have to see how she warms up to it over the next few days. Right.
I'm kind of nervous because like the amount of hype riding on Ahsoka, like almost it feels very similar to when like Obi-Wan Kenobi was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Everybody was like, this has got like this a shoo-in. Like it's impossible to mess this up. I'm pretty sure I said that a few times.
Yeah. I would share some of your concern, and I think projects like The Mandalorian and like what we have coming with the Acolyte, and even to some degree with Skeleton Crew, where we're dealing with different characters, different scenarios, different kind of genre than with legacy characters. And you can, maybe Ahsoka doesn't qualify as a legacy character, but she's an established character, a well-beloved character. The thing that makes me feel better about that is, of course, Dave Filoni. And I even feel more better because that's a term what we use with our kids to make them crazy. Like, Dad, that's not English. It's more better English. That's what that is. So anyway, it's a family thing. But the thing is, he at Celebration talked that he was working closely with Timothy Zahn to make sure he got Thrawn's character correct.
Yep.
And that was really important to me because I enjoy Timothy Zahn's Thrawn.
Me too.
And I would hate to see that taken into some sort of supervillain, and not have the kind of nuance that Thrawn has. Thrawn is a complex character. Means a lot to me. I love Thrawn. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And I was worried that Dave Filoni was going to mess it up. But,
yeah, take his usual approach to books and pages of Star Wars.
Just be like, yeah. So I was worried about that, and then make it
I mean, speaking of somebody that like never, I got into like the Legends version a little bit more. Like I
to the Empire and everything.
Yeah, I kind of like started getting into it, so I got a gist of it. I never got into like the canon novel, so the new.
Well, I love that he's working with Zahn, because you got Dave Filoni, who is invested in Ahsoka. He's not going to let her story be told any way other than how he wants to tell it. And then you got him working with Timothy Zahn to make sure he gets Thrawn's character correct. That quote alone is really one of the top ones of the entire celebration. Like, it has me like, I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be all right.
What I wanted to ask you though is because you're that big on Thrawn, it's like when you watch Rebels and that depiction of Thrawn, that cutting it for you is like that give you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it does. Go for it, Santa.
Yeah, it verges on not. The Rebels
Slightly.
Thrawn verges on not, but there's been some kind of retroactive, retconning there going on with the story of Rebels and what happened in there. And if you kind of got to pay real close attention and watch it all the way through, and catch what they say other places that kind of bring back. And he did. There was a thing where it said that he annihilated all these people, but you go later and you see where that's not exactly how it played out. That was what came. That was sort of the story that was told, but that's not exactly what came out. Because Thrawn is not just he doesn't.
He's more of an anti-hero than a straight up villain, in my opinion.
And he prefers to preserve life over taking life, and sometimes he comes in with maneuvers that appear to be far more lethal than they really are. And then you see that in Heir to the Empire. He's got this great big feint that looks like he's doing something really major, but it's a trick. And he doesn't have all the power that it appears. Like, he can't just destroy everything.
He just wants you to think he does.
He wants you to think he does, and so that you give up, and so you don't die. Right. So he does that. And there was in some of the canon novels, like, he stops people from killing themselves, because there's one lady specifically, she's a leader of a cult or whatever, and if she kills herself, or she gives the order for the people to kill themselves, all of them will kill themselves.
Yeah, they literally will all just commit seppuku, basically, like right then and there.
So he takes her and puts her like in
like a cryo sleep, so that she can't like tell her people to kill
themselves, because he's trying to save their lives. And at the end, he's trying to work up a proof so that she will see that she doesn't need to die. She doesn't need to ask them to die. And so he's trying to save their lives. He constantly is trying to do that. And even when he's meeting with enemy forces and he's having these big battles, he's like, don't blow yourselves up. Don't do it. And then they blow themselves up. He's like, dang it.
I told you.
Right. So what I didn't want them to do is come in with Thrawn is like coming in. He's just going to, destroy planets. That's not who Thrawn is.
So to his point, to the Rebels, I guess, adaptation of it, he seems a lot more ruthless in Rebels than he's maybe made out to be in the books. And I kind of attribute to that to a lot of the time that he maybe spent in the Empire, on top of the fact that he does at times want you to think he's like that bad guy, or wants the Empire to think that he is like real close and, nitty gritty with Palpy, when, he's really just trying to look out for his own people and the end all be all. Like, that's really Thrawn's end game. One of the books is even called The Greater Good, because that is literally what Thrawn is doing, working with the Empire, and his eyes working with Palpatine and the Empire is working with another version of the enemy to defeat the real enemy that he thinks is out there, which is the Grisk, which is really like working. It's for the greater good that he's working with another one of the enemies to defeat a bigger enemy.
Yeah. And he's never after self-aggrandizement. Right? He's not trying to be like this super emperor guy.
No.
He has no aspirations for power or leadership. He just gets put into those positions because of his extreme genius. And so he keeps getting promotion after promotion, and it just happens.
I've heard like secondhand a lot of that. That's kind of what made me formulate the opinion like that.
Yeah.
All right, Moff Gideon's not with him. And
yeah, he's never backstabbing somebody to get ahead. In fact, there's a lot of times people are trying to set him up because he's sort of
I was gonna say, like, even way back to his days within the Chiss, like when he was like trying to become one of the higher ups of them, not really trying to, like, he's just doing his thing. And there's so much like political like nuance to how the Chiss run their kind of day-to-day business and their I guess naval fleets and everything. And Thrawn trying to get through all of that is just hilarious, because like politics are like completely over his head, and he's just like, I'm just smart. Like, get all this like political nonsense out of my face. Like,
he's a bit of a savant,
Yeah.
You know, like he's a bit of on autism scale even, and a lot of autistic people have claimed him in their community as a representative of somebody with autism. So yeah, he like so doesn't understand the political gamesmanship that it is comical. You're like,
Yeah.
dude, like,
I mean, do you think they tie that in to the overall story though? They find a way like to
I doubt it. Not in this.
I was kind of wondering because the fact that Gideon and the Shadow Council thing was all like Thrawn hasn't been to any of these delegations or any of these meetings, you know what I mean? And I wonder if to him it's just like, I don't care about the Empire like that, like, you know, like he's still kind of playing the game to use their resources.
He's
but
not
I feel
around.
Like,
he's not there. That's why he's not in the meetings.
That too.
He's purgled
Well, you would
out.
think Pelion is with him, no? Because didn't he blast off with them with when the Purgle thing happened?
That's a good question. I don't remember enough about who was where.
We don't see Pelion almost all of Rebels, but he's literally mentioned the scene that the Purgle stuff happens. Like Thrawn is like realizes that they're about to get like, you know, Purgled out of there, and he's like, "Give me Pelion," kind of thing.
So maybe Pelion was not part of the fleet that got sucked out.
Maybe not.
Right. So if that's the case, then that's why Pelion he's like, well, Thrawn's coming back. We need to, you know, stay on path. But Thrawn's busy. And if we go back to Jason Ward's rumors and leaks for Ahsoka. Well, the first 4 episodes happen between like season 2, season 3.
This old guy trying to tell an old guy when he should go to bed.
But then the second half happens after season 3 of. Look at Sheev, big chicken. Sheev.
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Shut up. I'm trying to keep you from looking foolish again, but no, you go ahead.
I'll keep my foolish speculation going. We like to speculate unresponsibly here.
Irresponsible. Yeah, irresponsible speculation. That's Sheev's second channel. Cloned. We're going to see lots of clones
of Maul, clones of Gideon are coming back. Palpatine's going to return somehow. It's a fun time. Don't worry. Grogu's going to ride the Mythosaur. Din Djarin's going to rebuild the Darksaber. It's all good over here.
That's great.
Obsessions? You guys are done now? What do you think if we pull in them? Scotty and Obsession.
Did they finish? I thought they were going like all night.
I don't know. We'll see what he says when I send him this.
Mike Porter went to bed, already woke up for tomorrow. It's tomorrow in Mike Porter's world. I'll be driving home to Ohio tomorrow. We're still in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, here in the hotel in Gatlinburg.
I was half expecting you to be in full Santa attire tonight.
Well, we had a formal dinner tonight, so I've got the shirt with collar, you know.
Nice.
You're wearing red.
Looking good, Santa.
Well, you know, it's a Santa convention. What other color you think I'm going to be wearing, huh?
I was like, this is Santa's business casual outfit.
Yeah, you should have seen the dinner. Some of the folks dressed up. In fact, I've got a video that a friend of mine took while we were there of the whole room singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. A bunch of grown, you know, Santas, Mrs. Clauses, like over 300 of us in a room singing. So we're gonna get that posted so you guys can see.
How has Mrs. Claus not made fun of you at this whole stream? I'm very disappointed.
Well, because
talking backstage, but
I'm being careful about how I say things. That's how. My friends want you to haze me off camera. He's saying, "How is it that your wife has not been?" Yeah, you're supposed to be heckling me from the sidelines.
I'll tell you this. I saw the most hilarious tweet after the Bad Batch finale where it was like someone was like, "Oh, going to work the next day and someone's like, "Oh, how was your space show?" And it's just like like a meme, like of someone like in tears, like it was good, and it was like like crying over Tech's death, like someone the next morning, "How was your space show?" It was good.
So here we go. Let me do this. I'm going to send you a photo here that maybe you could share because they're asking how the convention's going. There you go. Share that photo. It's loading. It's almost 7 megabytes. So there you go. There's a photo you can share.
I thought you were just hitting share. It was taking that long. I was like, oh
No.
God.
I sent it to you. I sent it to you so you can share it.
Santa's like that meme where it's like, get you somebody that can do both. He could go from a Santa convention where he's dressed as Santa, and then he goes to the Star Wars convention like dressed as like Angle Porter or something.
We had a guy here who was dressed up as Santa and a Jedi.
That's amazing.
He was.
That's the real Star Wars Santa right there.
He, what was he? Obi, yeah. What was his name? Santa Kenobi. It was Obi, Kringle Kenobi, something like that.
Obi Kringle Kenobi. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you need me to do it?
Where did my Discord?
Pull it up.
Did you?
Oh, there it is. Okay. I got it.
You sure?
Yeah.
There it is.
Go.
That's what a little over about 400 Santa's Mrs. Claus.
This is getting out of hand. Now there's over 400 of them.
I'm in that photo somewhere. You got to look hard to find me.
I was trying to find the Obi Kringle Kenobi.
Yeah.
This is a lot of beards. This is really hard to find. This is like Where's Waldo right now.
It is. It's quite the challenge. So that was the first day of the convention.
Impressive.
We took those pictures. Yeah.
Oh my God, where is he?
Good luck. You got to look hard.
No, that's not him.
Nope. Yeah. So we had a good time. Lots of things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be staring at this for a while. All right.
There you go.
What it boils down to over at Nerd Mafia's channel. Where's Waldo Santa?
Well, it's always fun, like when we're here in Gatlinburg and we come out at the end of the day and we all head out to go to dinner, and we're all walking down through like downtown Gatlinburg, going to different restaurants to see all the reactions of people when you walk down the street and there's 50 Santas walking towards you. It's a good time.
Sounds pretty cool.
It's a lot of fun. I was asked today if maybe I would be a presenter at the next Santa convention next year in Memphis, Tennessee. So we'll see how that goes.
Memphis is about to get crazy.
Yeah, next spring. And we're expecting it to be about twice the size of this one. This one in Gatlinburg's a smaller convention. We get about 400 Santas total. They're expecting over 800 in Memphis next spring.
The Santas are taking over.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Santa's had Pershing.
It's good. Yeah. So season 4 of Mando, where do you think it's going to go?
So it's obviously gonna come out after Ahsoka.
Yeah, we have we still have Ahsoka coming up in just under 3 months.
August.
Yeah, so that's around the corner. Skeleton Crew is supposed to come out at the end of the year still, I think.
Yeah. Let's say January, because even if it is December, it'll be January.
Yeah, like December 31st kind of thing. So
right.
Beginning of next year, Skeleton Crew, and then I think after that it's just Acolyte and Andor next year, right? For Star Wars shows?
Potentially.
For live action at least,
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah, 2025, the year of the movie, we should be getting season 4 of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's
Right,
what I
the
think
Rey
too.
movie should be 2025, and then
Allegedly, the year of the movie.
yeah, well, right. We'll see, but that should be Mando season 4. What is it about? I think I know.
I think it's set up where Din Djarin's going to be working with the New Republic a little bit, or at least he's going to get brought into it. We're going to probably go on a few fun adventures because we always do every Mandalorian season. And from there, I think Grogu is going to kind of become more and more of a Mandalorian, maybe go on some of those trials that Santa was talking about a little bit earlier. And maybe they'll even get drawn into what's going on with the Ahsoka show at some point too.
I think so too. I think ultimately Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew is going to lead to Thrawn's return, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And the New Republic. The important thing that one of the important things that this season of Mandalorian showed is what is going on with the New Republic.
Yeah.
We should get some more of that built throughout these other shows, so that you see sort of the problem that's going on. They're demilitarizing. They're still in a bit of disarray and trying to pull the pieces together. And even with, let's say, the end of this season of Mandalorian, with Moff Gideon being killed, well, what about his loyalists that were on Coruscant? What about his folks that are spread throughout the galaxy, still like
the other Imperial remnants, Hux? I mean, everybody. There was a lot. It wasn't even just New Republic that was kind of fleshed out this season. It was definitely a lot of the Empire, especially towards the end too. Not to mention, how weak the New Republic system kind of is with Elia Kane in the Pershing episode, where he ends up getting kind of mind flayed there at the end.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's an important story element, so that when Thrawn returns, you see, they are in bad shape, big trouble, and they're going to need help. Where are they going to get help? They're going to have to call on their Mandalorian friends. And that's why it's important this season, the Mandalorian, in that overall story arc as well. We need a reestablished Mandalorians retaking their planet, becoming a force in and of themselves that can be called upon to help with this looming threat that is going to come from this other source.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting too, the fact that Thrawn has been set up since, I guess, season 2 now, when he was first name dropped, to kind of be the big bad of the Mandoverse. And he's a character that's so like focused and like integrated into art and culture. And then you have this like entire season that felt so like culturally surrounded by the Mandalorian kind of culture, I guess. And to see that, and then think about Thrawn here at the end of the season, know he's coming probably in Ahsoka or here soon, and think about how he could easily just like look at the Mandalorian like armor and everything, and obviously he's seen Sabine, so he's familiar with them already, and just know some of their weaknesses and their battle tactics, and be able to strategize against it, just based on the fact that we're Mandalorian armor. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and they may have a bit of a. We could speculate on this all night, but it's one of these where if he thinks he's coming into the New Republic and he sees the disarray of them, he realizes how easily he can manipulate that whole situation, outthink them on every front. The New Republic is in big, big, big trouble when Thrawn shows up. They just don't have the capacity to deal with him. And then if he doesn't see Mandalore as one of those fronts, that's where they have a potential to kind of throw him off balance a little bit, to get a little bit of a chance.
I feel like there's no way he doesn't. You know what I mean? Like even the remaining people of the Imperial remnants or the Shadow Council were like, yo, the Mandalorians are still a threat, and Moff Gideon's like, yeah, fam, give me some Praetorian guards, like,
Yeah,
I mean?
You're right. So I'm looking forward to it. I think that's where we're headed with Mando 4. But then we've got a movie, and that would potentially come after that. And I think there will be a Mando 4 and a movie. I think we're getting both. I don't think that Mando 4 is going to be made into the movie. I've heard that speculation. I don't think that's the case.
I think there's like a 4th and 5th season. Like from what it sounded like Kathleen Kennedy was saying, like it's possible we're still 6 or 7 years out from the Dave Filoni movie. Like they didn't give us a time frame of when that's coming, and they shouldn't. Like Dave, take your time. Tell this Mandalorian story the way that you and John want to tell it. Like they're saying this is like the beginning of the middle of the story. That's at least what Jon Favreau is saying. So if this is the beginning of the middle, we could easily go another 5-6 years and then do the movie around that time. You know.
So my friend Mike Porter's asking where we ate dinner. Where did we eat dinner that other night, hon? Down there. Smith and Sons. That kitchen thing where we sit up on the second floor. Smith and Sons. There you go. Smith.
Hold the stream.
Sons.
We gotta tell Mikey where it is.
Hey.
Funny.
If I ever go to Gatlinburg, now I'm gonna remember this stream and go back there.
Smith and Sons. It was great. It was a great dinner. We had a good time. Yeah, we took over that restaurant with Santa's. It was great.
What'd you eat?
I had.
I was gonna be like, "Hon, what do we eat?"
I had the fish and chips. Yeah,
Nice.
it was good. It was good.
What did I eat again?
Fish and chips. I know what I had. It was good.
Fish and
All right.
chips. No bangers and mash.
No bangers, mash. Fish and chips for Santa.
All
It
right,
was good.
we got Santa on past his bedtime, like always for the finale.
Yep, it's time. I gotta go.
You want to hang out for the wheel spin or not?
Yeah, let's see who wins.
All right.
Let's see if she can get lucky.
I'm rooting for you, man. I'm rooting for you. All right, let's put the screen up here. Oh, maybe this is better.
Oh, Daniel Fisher got a couple entries. Good for him.
Oh,
I'm
I know
following-
Dan and Tap. That's Dan and Tap on our server.
Oh yeah. All right, so I'm gonna do the Santa special. Shuffle once, shuffle twice, shuffle 3 times.
Whoa, where'd I go?
Spin.
Oh, and by the way, this
I'm
is
ready.
for the Din Djarin Funko. If you're wondering why I'm spinning, it's a giveaway contest.
Do it.
Kay won Santa merch. So Kay, this is 2 shows in a row.
Vito! He lives in NYC, so it cost me virtually nothing to ship. Congratulations.
Meet Vito for a pizza. Give him his Funko.
Oh, he's a baker. I'll meet him for some desserts.
Yeah.
Send
Now,
up
did
stuff.
you get your Mike Porter dad joke though?
Do we got a Mike Porter? Oh, let me check.
I do have a Mike Porter dad joke. So I shared it this morning, but of course it was muted. There was no audio.
Oh,
So I let me see.
was the entire stream was muted?
No audio. The entire stream. Yeah, it was awesome. It was my life. So he had. What did the Mandalorian say to the people who talk against his people? Din's fighting words. Oh, Din's fighting words. Get it?
I love Mike Porter. That guy's the best.
I love him too. He
I
had
busted
another
him
one.
one time. He tried throwing jokes on my stream, and I'm like, "Get the hell out of here! It's just insanity." We got a bar in the background. What are you talking about?
All right. Well, with that, I gotta go.
Okay.
It's good to talk to you guys, and we'll see you again when Ahsoka's all wrapped up.
All right, sir. Thank you for hanging out again.
She was good to see you. It's my
Good to
friend.
talk to you, man.
They're Mafia. You guys take care.
Much love.
Take it easy.
Bye.
All right.
I didn't win again.
And I don't think I'm doing it again. We'll see.
I'm doing the Jedi Survivor giveaway here in like what I guess it's 9 days now. So
See, there you go.
if you guys aren't a member of the Vader's Lair channel, go check it out.
I did a couple giveaways. She does a couple giveaways. We'll just trade spaces, you know?
There you go.
Let him do that stuff for a little bit. I did find a cool. I might still do it though, because I found a really cool Funko for Secret Invasion that I might give away. I don't know. I'm torn.
What else?
I'm torn.
What else do you think about the season as a whole, though? Any takeaways? What were your thoughts as a whole on the season? I guess we kind of talked about it earlier, but I don't know if I got yours.
It seemed just a little bit lost, like at the beginning, like it, because like when you were talking about how it reminded you of season one, just like we had a better like overall direction right off the gate from like the first episode. We knew, we find out there's Imperial remnants. We meet Grogu. All right, they want Grogu. That's the whole season, pretty much, you know. So I don't think it killed the season, but I think it was definitely apparent they were just trying to tie a lot of things together and like kind of like rebuild the plot, like the direction for him and Grogu, which they ultimately did at the end. I'm actually like more hyped about season 4 because I think that's like
Yeah, no, I honestly like I enjoyed the hell out of this season, but I kind of saw it as the middle kind of bridge story that I think they set it out to be. Like it wasn't, they didn't intend it to be Luke Skywalker, although I would argue like the kind of finale fight that we had was one of the coolest live action fights we've kind of seen. Like
oh yeah.
it was so cool to see some of that stuff that it felt like, almost watching some of the craziest Clone Wars fights or, animated fights that we've seen in Star Wars come to live action. And it was like, this is freaking badass. You know what I mean? So there's definitely some awesome moments this finale, which is why for me, like it was like a step up above the first season. But I get what you're saying, like in terms of the first season maybe kind of had the structure right away, but like we had the structure. Like I think maybe because it was in Book of Boba Fett where the two reunited, like people were kind of maybe thrown off with that, or maybe
No,
they felt
I
like it was
mean,
disjointed from that or something, because it was structured there. Like we had the kind of set for Din Djarin to go off to go to Mandalore to, be kind of baptized, or I guess, take a bath in the mines beneath Mandalore. So
yeah.
he went off and did that and was doing it already by the second episode. And it was really from there bringing the Mandalorian people together, which on top of that, it felt like the whole season we were kind of watching as Grogu went on this kind of arc of learning to become a Mandalorian, or like Din Djarin really trying to teach him what it means to be a Mandalorian. And then kind of also bringing in Bo-Katan to have her redemption story, because Din Djarin at the beginning is going on his redemption. It's like he doesn't really need to be redeemed other than taking off the helmet, you know what I mean? Which to the rest of us, that's not a big deal. Which he feels like he needs to be redeemed for that, but then he ends up bringing Bo-Katan into it because he needs to be rescued and everything. And really, she's on this redemption story throughout the whole season, feeling like she failed her people, being selfish as a part of Death Watch, and like, divisive back in the day, and realizing that her people need to be brought together for them to be strong, and being the leader that she's supposed to be now, having like a third shot at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It also like that threw me for a loop how quickly he got a Mandalorian like and bathed in the waters. Like I kind of figured the season was gonna drag that plot out. And I also think it almost suffered from a little bit of like endgame syndrome, like Marvel is right now. Like you came out and you killed it in that finale with like Luke. You gave the people what they want, but now it's like we're all kind of suffering from our own
It's funny you call it like
expectation.
end game syndrome. It's really just story building. Like, you know what
No,
I
but
mean? Like
I mean not
that's
to
what it
say
is
like
though. Like I know
you,
what you mean. That
yeah,
that is essentially what it is though. Like you go from this high, like after building for 2 seasons, seeing Luke Skywalker there in the finale and going, that was insane. And then from there, it's like, where do you go? Well, you have to reset, kind of not reset the story, but rebuild the story, or go from there to build out the story further. And
right.
you can't really go from that crazy Luke Skywalker without building back up to that next kind of crazy moment, which I think they started to build throughout most of this season. Like a lot of this season is building. And when you look at other Star Wars projects, like, or at least the television projects, there are these kind of middling seasons or middling episodes within seasons where it's like, okay, this story didn't necessarily need to be in the show, but it ends up serving a purpose later on, or it serves the character to kind of grow them further. And I feel like The Mandalorian, when we get, in my opinion, like 5-6 seasons of it, and then a movie at the end, and all these other tie-ins with Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, Book of Boba, all these other shows that are kind of spinning off from it. When you tie all of it in together, like no one's going to be nitpicking about the little moments from season 3 that they didn't like. You know what I mean? Like right now we're all doing it because it just came out, but it's like,
Well, I say that too. Like I hear you. Like but like before you too far, I mean in more in like the way of like Endgame happened and we finally started getting Disney Plus shows for Marvel, and then you could literally like attach an expectation that didn't happen to every show. Like
yeah,
Yeah,
everybody
you know
was hoping. That's what I'm
Wanda-
saying, though.
yeah.
Everybody's hoping for the next crazy thing to happen, but it's
Yeah,
like
how
dude,
many
we're
can
in
you
the-
count just from this season?
yeah, and
Crazy.
we're sitting there in the building stages, though, going, when's the crazy thing happening? When we're just starting to build. I'm dead. What up, my guy?
Not what I expected when I had it.
What up, my guy?
Hey,
I thought he was sitting there like getting ready to get on the mic.
I figured you guys needed to get a little bit of my energy since this is what you do in my channel. I figured I'd come in and make you
My
giggle on yours. I was looking
I
for
like
an eggplant emoji earlier. I couldn't find it.
I know. I'm looking at my camel toe. I don't
Yeah, I
even know
was
what
like,
this
I
is.
couldn't find the eggplant. Screw it, this will do. And it was the big camel. It wasn't the little camel either.
How about we just like rotate places to just like chill and talk stuff?
What's up, my dude? I was wondering. I thought you were gonna be streaming for like 3-4 hours tonight. I was like, I'll hop onto his channel.
It was a short episode, man. I can't without the whole crew there. I can't go 3 hours on 38 minutes, bro. It's tough.
Yeah, I
Dude,
got
honestly,
stolen by this one.
I like rushed putting my son to bed, and I'm like, "Oh, my mom's got you. I'm out." And then I was gonna jump on here.
I have to go stream.
Yeah, my plan was like, because I got down in my basement like about 7:35. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna hop on Obsession Stream real quick, say hi, then I'm gonna move
No,
back
it's all
over
good.
here.
Matt
I
came-
got in here saying it was already here. I'm like, oh, what's up? He's like, yeah. It was, all right, fuck it.
Yeah, I know. It's all good. Matt Cave came over, saved the day, so it was all good. He's over.
I
he's
missed
over-
that.
Yeah, dude. Like I said, I mean, you got to be quick on the draw. Matt Cave was like, "I'm coming in hot before I go Zelda." I'm like, "Sweet, I'm watching him right now."
That's just what'd you think of the episode?
It was good, man. I feel like they could, like I said, I mean, if you'd have been in my stream instead of here, but if if they would have ended it at Bo lighting the forge and Din Djarin and Grogu just turning around and walking into the sunset and seeing credits, would have played so much better than the Andy Griffith show as an ending. Right?
I mean, they gave me an
Grogu and Din
amazing
heading to the
thumbnail.
pond. All he needed was the corncob pipe and Grogu with a fishing pole, and we have the Andy Griffith show. I mean, that's just a weird way to end. And then the Disney, like, I mean, just like, come on, man, too much.
I
Too much.
needed Bo, like, let's go back like 50s and just have Bo just walk out of the front door with like an
Something, dude. Like that would have
I
been
will
better,
say-
dude. Like Bo walking out with a cup of soup, eating in front of him, laughing at him. Like that would have been great. But it just
I will
felt-
say it did. The ending did feel like, not that they got out scot-free, because they did lose certain things throughout the fight, but it's like it felt like things were a little too easy for them in the end. The way Din Djarin kind of
Listen,
escapes as soon as he gets captured.
Din Djarin is the
he's a
richest
badass.
Mandalorian in the universe right
Certified
now.
badass.
Okay? He's got all the land from this place to this place that they were giving the Mandalorians, and they all moved off Navarro to Mandalore. So that's all his. And now he's got the cabin by the lake. So he's really balling. Like, dude is balling out.
He's
Two
working
things
for
I
the
didn't
New
get to talk-
Republic.
Yeah, two things. I didn't get to talk to you about this
That's
yet
it.
tonight, but you will definitely appreciate this. So first thing, not as funny, but when Grief's like, "I got this little cabin for you," it's like, "Motherfucker, I have the whole left side of the mountain. What do you mean I
That's
got
what
a
I'm
little cabin, right?" But then the more hilarious thing, like that's whatever. But how long did we spend talking the other night about how dumb it was for them to send Axe Woves up through the
Bro,
whole
I didn't know
thing?
Mandalorian suits could break through atmosphere. I was like, oh, he's gonna pass the no.
You didn't watch Rebels then.
No, I
All of a
did.
sudden-
I'm just
Bro,
like,
all of a sudden he's Peter Quill, like Star
yeah,
Lord.
dude,
It's like, what is
all of a sudden
happening
he's
right now?
Peter
I'm
Pan,
Mary
dude.
Poppins, y'all.
Second star to the left, straight on till Sunday, man. I mean, just it. Actual, like, great way to get the news out, right? I was about it, but what happened to the Trojan horse? What happened to taking his people off the map? Like, you got played, sucker. Not.
We all got played with that Spies title.
I mean,
We're like, who's
Yeah.
the Spies?
Right?
Guys, you idiots.
I wasn't even like, I was leaning more towards like the fact that like what Megan and Jason were bringing up the other day. They're like, oh, it goes in this biblical tale. I'm like, oh, you know what? That makes sense. And then we started talking about, I'm like, oh my God, this is it. We cracked the code.
Yeah, it was a short episode. I liked all the action. I liked the bow scenes. The Darksaber getting destroyed, I feel like, is more a setup for Grogu to take the crystal later and become the first Mandalorian to design a lightsaber in a millennia. So I think that plays more to that. I do think a lot of people are going to be disliking the Darksaber getting destroyed by Gideon in that whole storyline, but it also puts an end. The poetic part is it also puts an end to the squabbling. Right? There's no more crown. Right? The crown of Mandalore is gone. Now they elect a leader. It's not, the Darksaber is no longer involved in it. So for me, that kind of unifies the clans a little bit. So
Yeah.
kind of Gideon did them almost a favor.
Literally, I was thinking about it today, how it, there's been videos that I've seen out there and different things, like the Darksaber was almost a curse to the Mandalorian
Yeah,
people.
almost, bro.
You think about it back all the way in the Maul days during, when Pre Vizsla had it. Like literally ever since Pre Vizsla was trying to destroy Satine and the pacifism that she was trying to set up on Mandalore.
Yeah.
It's been a curse. Like anyone that's tried to get it or that's had it has like either been trying to driven towards power or given it up because they don't want it. But it's hasn't unified Mandalorian people since Tar Vizsla. You know what I mean? Like it literally only divided them. And as soon as it was destroyed, you had 3 different Mandalorians from different backgrounds, being Grogu, Bo-Katan, and Din Djarin, unifying to defeat their enemy and really unifying Mandalore. Like it was very symbolic.
No, the show as a whole, the season for me as a whole was great. For me, it just never even, of course, there's always going to be little hiccups here and there. There's always going to be, cameos we don't like or scenes that we don't like throughout the series. But ultimately, for me, this series hit all they tied up all the loose ends. They gave us a potential future storyline, with the Shadow Council. There's so much, there's so many storylines coalescing. We could see Din Djarin in the Ahsoka show. I was saying today, potentially we could see the Sabersmith could be talking to Grogu about designing a saber with the Darksaber crystal, right?
Yeah.
Instead of it being Ahsoka he's talking to, because Ahsoka already has her sabers, and it's Sabine has Ezra's. So the only person that he could realistically be talking to would be a crossover episode with Din Djarin showing the Darksaber. Could this be saved? And
my theory on the Hu Yang thing. So we do know Hu Yang is in the trailer and he's supposed to be in the Ahsoka show. And my thought is like, what if he gets brought to Luke Skywalker, who's trying to set up a Jedi Order at this time?
Yeah.
And that would
really,
awesome.
We need to see Ben Solo first. If it's going to hold to continuity of the sequels, which it looks like that's the direction they're going with the Praetorians, with a lot of these other storylines that we're seeing, with the Shadow Council, the mention of Thrawn, Project Necromancer, all of these things are heading in one direction, which leads to the sequels. I think we need to see Ben Solo be the first apprentice of Luke at the new academy, and then we can start to take on these new pupils. I feel like that's why Grogu left after being there for a while, because Luke, even if it was 2 years, that 2 years was a test, right? Because all Padawans have to go through a test to see if they're really made to be a Jedi. Right? Not just their trials, but there's always these little tests on, are you going to continue your journey? This first 2 years of Grogu's training could have been just that. You're not ready for this yet. So maybe in 30 years, you'll be a little more ready. So, oh, Mike.
I'm dead.
But yeah, I mean, look, it's obvious that Grogu is the Mandalorian that they're talking about now. Everybody's been skeptical about, is it Din? Is it Bo? Is it, who is it? It's obviously Grogu. It's obviously Din Grogu, which I thought was a stupid ass way to name him. I would have rather it been Grogu Din Djarin or Djarin.
Grogu Djarin.
Grogu Djarin rather than, Din Grogu. But call a spade a spade. If that's the only thing that I dislike, then and besides the Andy Griffith ending, I call it a W. I give this episode an 8.
We found out why he was called Din Grogu, by the way.
Why is that?
Don came up with it earlier in the chat. You're gonna love it. It's because Din is not Din Djarin's actual surname. It's Djarin Bridger. Yep.
No, I'm gonna here. Sorry, I had to scream it out a little bit, but yeah, I mean that again. There's a couple little things, but for me, it's an 8 out of 10 episode. It's a 9 out of 10 season. They tied up all the loose ends. The Bo becomes the leader. The Mandalorians are home. Din and Grogu made it out. They're rich as hell. They've got homies. They've got friends in low places everywhere. IG-11 is walking the streets with the Marshall belt buckle on. Not to mention he's painted like the Marshall belt buckle. Like the belt buckle didn't do it alone. You got to paint him. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like they wrapped everything everybody wanted, everybody got, and they're still upset.
What?
Sounds
Everything
about
everybody
right.
wanted? Listen, over the past few weeks, we heard people wanted Cobb Bam, Ben Rao, Ahsoka, Luke. That's what's happening.
What didn't people get that they didn't want? Okay, Luke was never really an option.
That's the thing about the people complaining. I haven't seen a valid complaint of criticism. They're just like, it wasn't like I didn't like it. It's like, well, what didn't you like about it? Yeah.
I'm kind of in the place right now where I watched it once. I'm nitpicking. I'm just kind of processing it.
I've watched it like 4 or 5 times today. Like I watched it at midnight. I woke up and watched it again.
All right, Risman.
But I don't watch it with the narrative, so I just watch it. I don't watch it with the narration on, because I don't like to read, let alone while I watch TV. But for me, it closed everything. There's not a loop that's not closed. The only thing I would have liked to have seen would be a pile of Dark Trooper armor on the floor sizzling in molten Moff Gideon, and the Darksaber gets picked up by somebody and taken. Like those are the only 2 things I would have liked to have seen in that post scene. The fact that Grogu used the Kanan move like got me in the feels. Like the whole time he's doing that, I'm thinking Kanan on the fuel pod saving Hera and Ezra. Like that, even though he did it in season 1, little dude passed out, right? After he's learned to control, he's learned all this stuff, but really like that took me back to Kanan. Even though he did it in the first season in the cantina, this really took me back to Kanan, and I loved that portion of it. Like that hit me right in the feel, is saving your family using the Force. Yeah, it was great. I really loved that part. It was Grogu's episode. The IG stuff with Grogu, of him like saving him was kind of weird. How do you not hear? How do you not hear an IG?
I liked it a lot.
How do you not hear an IG unit coming though? Like it's like clank, 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 clank.
I was kind of like in the space, like how the hell did he get to him? Like
that's what I was wondering too. Like where did he come from?
He took a left at Albuquerque, and he just ended up there. I don't know what happened. He took a left at Albuquerque. Yeah,
I think that episode just really baffled me. My head is just like, because the main things that I was like thinking like before this started was like the whole Axe Wolf thing. What the hell is that? And then I was like, all right, like we know how they could like fight off the TIE fighters. We know how they could fight them off of the ground. And I had wild expectations going on there, like a whole rebel of New Republic forces coming out to help them. I had the Mythosaur in my head taking them out on the ground. I'm like, but how do we save Din? And then in the first 5 minutes, Din's like, what the hell is going on?
But at the same time, like, I was totally about that too, because it just re-solidified what a badass they are. Like
I didn't hate it, but I was just like, what is happening right now?
I loved it because it was very Prison Break too. It was very like every Prison Break you've ever seen in movies. It was very well choreographed. It was very well done. But Grogu at the end, like, no. It just that kind of got me a little bit. I thought that was kind of funny. And then,
I love the R5 scene when he's like with the mouse droids and trying to open up the blast shield by shield, and Din's like going through there, taking out like 2 at a time, and
it was very A New Hope, right? It was very,
Phantom Menace too. But
you know,
yeah,
Hope,
like
it was very A New Hope, like we're dying in here, and 3PO's like, they're dying, hurry up, R2. That's the feel I got, was like, R5, open the door, open it, right?
Like, you got like the evolution of Din too, and he's like, good job, buddy, did good job. It's like, what?
Right, yeah, and the fact that he trusts a droid to get him there, you know. But for me, the IG-12 against the Praetorians was pretty awesome, just in that I like how they dissected him, you know, bit by bit, and then little Grogu jumping around. I know that must have pissed some people off, watching Grogu run and like he's like on a Marionette toy. His little
dude, I freaking
movie.
loved it. And he
So did
like
I, but
jumped.
they hate the jumping. They hate the Grogu jumping.
It's like Yoda in the freaking prequels. It's amazing. And the best part too is the fact that he was like hopping around up there and laughing at the Praetorian guards. Like it literally says he like laughs. He was like, "Oh, can't get me!" Like
Well, and then, you know, it was great to not just see him be OP as he is, and just grab the Praetorians and like throw him against the wall or choke him by himself and be done. It was awesome to see him just doing enough to help, right? Oh, no, off your feet. Oh, no, weapon's gone. Oh, no, you're going to hit him. That was very, and then to watch Din and Bo continue to protect him as he's getting shot at her. It was a very interesting battle, but watching R5, like R2, flying around, not having motivator issues, not being a malfunctioning droid, showing R5 in the element he was made to be in, not on the hot desert of Tatooine, shows, you know, the evolution of character even in a droid, right? Like they did a really good job writing this stuff. And that final scene, like I said, the only thing I wanted to see was a molten Moff Gideon. That's the only thing I think they missed. And then I think they could have cut the show early. I think that 25 seconds of airtime on the back end of Navarro could have been a post-credit scene. Right? I think that could have cut
really could have. I was like scanning looking for a post-credit scene.
It should have been the post-credit scene, because honestly, watching the Mandalorians applaud and then watching Din Djarin and Grogu walk away into the sunset of Mandalore like an old Western, like Shane or any of those old Westerns, the hero walks into the sunset after they're done saving the town. That would have been a more poetic exit, and then use the Navarro scene and the reward of IG-11 back to the city as the marshal as a post-credit scene showing they did a good job. Now they're taking a break, right? Instead of making the Disney whoop scene, right? It felt like a Mario Brothers exit from like a Mario game. Like, oh, you completed the level. Whoop.
I'm not gonna lie, like that frame of them just like chilling in the pool, I might frame that. Just like hanging up behind me.
Yeah, I could.
I'm not mad at it at all.
I might make that a GIF, right? It was it was a really sweet ending, but it could have been a post-credit scene, right? The gunslinger walking away after the town is saved is what they introduced Din Djarin as. They introduced Din Djarin as a gunslinger. Let him walk away as a successful gunslinger, and let that be the post-credit scene.
He's a gun though. He had that badass rifle at the beginning.
But still,
I think he lost that when the ship got blown up in season 2.
Yeah, he did. He lost his rifle when they blew up the ship. Yeah,
lost his rifle, lost his Beskar.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Like,
the
come on.
Dark Saber went in this episode. I'm like, we're losing too much.
Lost his ship. Like, he didn't just keep something. Besides Grogu,
he kept a baby. He kept a baby. That's the only thing.
What do you think Grogu smells like, though? Tuna fish?
Frogs. Frogs. Look, I mean, hold on. Frogs. Look, his ears are so rubbery and weird.
Okay, do you guys think at some point we could get a scene similar to this down the line where some people maybe didn't like season 3, but it's kind of like, you know, the Purgle in season 2 of Star Wars Rebels, where it seems like a random episode with these space whales, and then they end up playing a big picture later on in season 4 when they obviously blast off Ezra and Thrawn. So could there be something down the line where it's like, a Gideon clone comes back or something crazy where we have Din Djarin and Grogu in this similar kind of situation, and Din Djarin ends up maybe not making him at some point, or because obviously Din Djarin's gonna eventually perish before Grogu, since
You don't
Grogu's
say
gonna
that.
live forever.
don't
It's
say
gonna
that.
happen. Do we see a crazy Grogu hallway kind of redemption scene, or like Avenger scene where he's just like going crazy with the dark side and just raging out, killing people after Din Djarin ends up, meeting his fate eventually?
All I heard was Din Djarin dead, and now I'm mad at you. That's it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I deserve that. Yeah, no, I mean, none of us thought, like, a lot of people were speculating that Din Djarin would die at this episode, and I was like, nah, they're not gonna.
I was never subscribing to that. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't think I ever really got on board with that.
I think it happens at some point, though. If the longer you tell Din and Grogu's story, like, it has to kind of to progress Grogu. Maybe you could like skip it and just have like a time jump to where Grogu's kind of doing his own thing, but I don't know.
I'm the ultimate, like, I don't know what you call it, like, supporter or some guy that says, like, yeah, people gotta die. Like
oh yeah, no, you're the dude that always says that.
Yeah, so I just don't want it to happen. Okay.
No, yeah, none of us do.
I mean, look, it's definitely something that's going to happen at some point, and I think that story is potentially maybe around the Filoni movie.
Yeah.
Not so much anytime soon. So I think that's a couple years out. But I mean, yeah, it would be an interesting story of Grogu going dark for a while, and wrecking his way through the universe. But ultimately,
I don't know about going dark fully, but just like, a little hallway kind of Grogu scene, like that would be sick. Where he's just
and like Chillin saying, I mean, this is what I was saying earlier. I feel like, I feel like we're right back where we started, except everybody's free, right? We're back on Navarro. The baby's free. The Imperials are gone. Din Djarin and Grogu have a place to hang out. The Mandalorians are back on Mandalore. They're not in hiding anymore. This is like everybody's happy. The reason I worry is that what if they cancel season 4? Because this is a perfect ending. It's a perfect ending. Could they be done leading up to a Filoni movie?
No.
I don't think so.
Could season 4 actually be the script for the Mando movie?
I think the whole reason for making him like a bounty hunter again and for the New Republic is to tie into what's happening with Thrawn. That's the whole point of that. I think it might take a while to get there, but I think it's gonna. That's in my opinion.
I mean, look, I agree with you. I'm just saying we have seen shows get canceled out of nowhere. I mean, look at Stargate Universe. Look at Firefly, right? These shows.
I don't think it's doing poor enough to get canceled. And I think if they have it, I know you're not saying.
I mean, look, I am the proprietor and the pioneer of positivity. Okay, I am constantly the one that's like,
you got that trademarked?
Yeah, I do. Everybody's always giving me, because I'm the shill of shills. I mean, I'm basically Jack Shillington over here, and I'm not saying it's going to get canceled. I'm just saying they tied it up in such a tight bow.
Listen, I'm shilling in the basement right now. Okay,
but I don't know if, like I said, I've seen them cancel a lot of shows out of nowhere. I'm not saying that they're going to, but they tied it up with such a nice bow. Everybody's got what they wanted out of the show.
They didn't technically tie it up with a bow.
Whose story isn't tied up?
I'm saying they didn't tie it up with a bow, or nothing.
I got what you were saying.
Bo's getting what Bo's getting. I mean, she's the leader of the free world over on Mandalore. She's getting it all, right? But they got to repopulate Mandalore, right? There's got to be a new Corky. So
it's like look at the look of disgust on Chief's face.
But ultimately, everybody's story is tied up real nice leading into Ahsoka. So they could absolutely, tie this off and be done, and there wouldn't be a loss in continuity of story because they tied it up so tight. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it'll happen, But
I think they built up too much. John's already writing the script for season 4 and everything, or he most likely wrote it already. So I don't think that there's any chance we don't get a season 4. If
are
I'm
we
being
truly
honest.
happy that John is still at the helm writing?
I am.
Right? I mean, seems like Filoni stuff has been the most potent, powerful stuff on the market right now, and Dave's chalking up what the mass majority of the fandom is calling L's all over the board.
Well,
What
we'll
if-
definitely get our fix in here with Ahsoka, and people will probably enjoy the hell out of this season.
Well, and they will praise Dave as they should be, because Dave is the savior of Star Wars. But is the chink in Filoni's armor starting to show? Is
Filoni's?
or I'm sorry, Favreau's.
What do-
Are we starting to see the L's in his column more than the W's?
What are we chalking up as the Filoni stuff versus the Favreau
Just
stuff?
since
Since Disney Plus started.
Just his
Oh, the episode?
in general, Rebels.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, because if we're going there, like Mando's kicking the Bad Batch's ass by a mile. So
True, but I mean, is it? Because I think more people enjoyed season 3 of Bad Batch or season 2 of Bad Batch than they did season 3 of Mando. If you ask the majority,
A lot of people I saw on the internet were like, "Yo, what the hell? Mando's not hitting the same way Bad Batch is right
Right.
now," and
I
it
mean,
was
this-
literally like, "Really?" Because
I
a lot
saw-
of y'all are gonna.
I heard that a lot in the Muggle community. I heard
I
that
did.
a lot out there in the Muggle universe. Yeah, I did too. They're like, man, this season of Bad Batch is just firing on all cylinders. What's Mando doing with Lizzo and Jack Black? And I'm like, it's one episode. Come on, man.
crazy.
So, I mean, Bad Batch is doing pretty good.
I liked both.
Filoni.
Yeah, sadly, we're only getting one more season of Bad Batch, but I'm really happy we still are getting a third season too.
Yeah, I mean, Bo's repopulating Mandalore. The armor, everybody's getting. Look, this is like after D-Day, baby. Babies are making babies. Everybody's having Mandalore babies. There's gonna be non-helmet wearing Mandalorians hooking up with helmet wearing Mandalorians. Like they're gonna get rid of the animosity through family. It's gonna be awesome. Mandalore's gonna be dope, man. So they need to get to that repopulating. I'm looking forward to the next season. I'm looking forward to everything they're doing. I just think that the season just ended kind of corny and flat. I feel like they could have cut off 30 seconds of the show, ended it another way, post-cred scene, and you're done. And
they would have said it was 30.
I definitely was. I was hoping for a post-credit scene too. Not gonna lie, but no expectations. I really had fun with this season. The finale was definitely like the last 2 episodes in particular. Wrapped it up
Fire, right?
nicely for me. Yeah, definitely fire.
It was.
Yeah.
It was just like I said. It was action packed.
It was cool to get as much Mandalorian kind of lore as we did this season too.
Oh, the last 2 episodes have to blow it out of the water or the whole season is ruined! Ruined!
That's what everyone was crying about. I feel like they delivered. I feel like they delivered hard. Like they went hard in the paint, scoring some fucking points, putting up eggplant emojis on the wall. Like they were killing it out there. So that's how I feel. I feel like this season ended on a huge W, but man, I don't want to see Mario at the end with I didn't want to see that. Just seemed like a weird way to end. It's like, were you guys high? Did you guys just did you go back? Was that like a tribute to Mickey and Walt? Like, can I get a reason? Can we talk about this? Like, did the editor sneak that past the goalie? Like, what happened? I'm confused.
Not going past the goalie.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm confused. That's one of the only parts of the whole season that confused me. I get Jack Black. I get Lizzo. I get Christopher Lloyd. I get all the things that most people don't like. I'm all about it. Din Djarin, Bo, droid detectives. I loved it all. I just don't get the Andy Griffith ending. That's all. I just don't get it.
It was good, man. It was
I liked
good.
it.
I nick and I pick and I knit. What the fuck was going on with that? But anyway,
I nitpick for positivity. I like I said, I'm the pioneer and the proprietor of positivity. But this is one time I'm just like, that was a weird ass ending, and I'm usually singing the praises of House of Mouse. But this time I'm just a little, I'm just that guy in the corner, like, question mark.
There is a little bit of me. because I felt like it was definitely a satisfying ending, and I enjoyed the hell out of like almost the entire finale. Like there wasn't much I didn't really like in this final episode, but it did kind of leave me feeling that similar feeling that I left with Quantum Mania, where I left at the end of that movie. I don't know if both of you guys saw it, and not to spoil it for everybody, but it was like at the end of that, I was like, you clearly feel like there's still something not right, even though the story is like resolved in the movie. It's like there's something that's not right here. Like,
Oh,
and that was
like every Brie Larson movie. Oh, I'm sorry. You said you're talking about Marvel movies.
Quantum Mania.
The Marvels is on the horizon.
That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna come over to this spot and then talk.
Yep. No, but
I mean, I already dogged on it. I said that like Star Wars is suffering from like Endgame syndrome, like post Endgame syndrome. Like you brought in Luke Skywalker, and now everybody's expecting the world every single episode.
I mean, that's it,
myself included. So
yeah, and that's the one thing I can say is that I go in with that expectation, so I can't really come out disappointed. The only thing that disappoints me is a weird ass ending. Like Din Djarin smoking a corncob pipe, watching Grogu fish was just weird for me. It's just a weird picturesque that I just didn't. I would rather watch him like shining his blaster on the porch than just sitting there all weird. Like
that's what I'm saying though. The vibes of it though, to me, like even though it's supposed to be like those happy, like oh, like Din and Grogu finally get to like settle down. Like for me, I watched it over and I'm like, I kind of feel like this is like the calm before the storm. Like you guys get your little moment, but it's like this is gonna be. We're gonna wish they're still on that freaking prairie farm in a couple of episodes. You know what I mean? Like,
ever seen a hummingbird stop flapping his wings midair?
No, because it doesn't happen. Din Djarin doesn't need to be on the porch.
That's all I'm saying.
Over under of like 1 minute of how long that frog lives. After we,
I thought he was going to eat him. I thought the best way it would have ended was him being like, "Ow!" and then
if you did that little like fade in, like you're
and
talking
then they
about,
do the closing.
Right when he ate the frog, like that would have been perfect. Like Grogu with the frog leg sticking out of his mouth. Yeah, that would have been perfect, dude. But it just ended weird for me. That's the only negative thing I've ever said about the show is it just ended like WTF. OMG. Wow. Like,
all right.
Wow.
Speaking of ended weird, I can see Sheev like barely sitting up in his chair right now. So I know this dude stayed up late I stayed up till 2 and then I fell asleep. I almost stayed up to watch it.
Just by that much.
Yeah. I thought about it. I was
you pulled a Sheev. You thought you were gonna stay up and then you fell asleep.
Almost did that last night. It was whew.
I was just
Thank God. I was excited for it at least.
It started out awesome.
At the end of the day,
it was
suffering from just being really. I'm really ready for Ahsoka. I've been ready. For a long time.
Oh, I'm so ready for Ahsoka.
Yeah,
got the Rebels rewatch starting on Saturday. It's about to be a good time.
I had myself built up for a complete like Rebels reunion already before his son. So that's
you were pulling for that hard. You were going hard in the paint for it. So
wanted it.
but at least it leaves us looking forward to something at the end of the summer. You know, Survivor is 9 days away. That's going to occupy the space for about 5 minutes. And everybody's going to get along for about 5 minutes while Survivor's out before Visions comes out. And as soon as Vision 2 comes out, it's going to be like, right? And then
I don't care what anybody has to say about Visions. It's not canon anyway. Just enjoy it.
It's back to the positive and negative streams. So yeah, I mean, honestly, enjoy the next enjoy in 9 days. We're gonna have 1 week from the 28th
of unity
of peace, and then there will be
we shall have
peace. So
what do we got coming up now? Then just a quick guide. It's we got a couple Marvel shows coming, right? I think Secret Invasion and Loki. Or am I
don't know, to be honest. It is probably Marvel time though. Now that Mando wrapped up and Ahsoka's not for another couple months.
When does the Marvels drop? Isn't that
amazing? That's all the way in November.
I was gonna say the next thing is Guardians of the Galaxy, which is May 5th, right after Star Wars Day.
Yeah,
and then I don't know what the shows are for Marvel.
Is Secret Wars before Marvels?
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. Secret Wars is gonna be a whole nother thing.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Secret
Remember when
Invasion,
that?
June. Yeah.
Look this up.
So there you go. So it's Visions, Guardians 3, Secret Invasions June, Ahsoka in August, and then
Loki's
Marvel
after.
in the end of the year.
Checks
That's
out.
And then I'm not sure when Loki 2 this year.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's
so.
supposed to be in the summer as well.
It's probably going to be July.
I wonder what's up with
Doing like
Jonathan
two
Majors.
MCU shows before.
I mean, either that or they're going to run it concurrent to Ahsoka, which it looks like a mistake.
That would be
Who the hell is going to watch anything Marvel when Ahsoka's out?
not me.
Not
And
that
I
night
love
anyway.
Marvel, but nope.
Not that night. Maybe
Loki is
2
like
days
their
later.
best show.
Yeah, exactly. The next day maybe.
And I really liked Loki. Like Loki
I
is
love
probably
Loki.
my favorite Phase 4 show out of everything. Like
That's mine too.
I loved Loki. I thought Loki was a fantastically written show. It was weird as shit, but it all tied up in the end, and the ending was like, and then that leads to Kang Brang, Ninja Turtles Kang in Marvel, which I thought was really cool. So
That was a really fun show to speculate about too.
I really love Loki. I hope season 2 is just as weird and messed up and fun, because it was so twisted, and it was so twisted, and it made him humble in a weird way. Like this cocky character that was always over cocky was like, wait a minute, everything I know is meaningless. Wait, you have Infinity Stones as paper? What's going on?
I think Sean's got it right. So I'm reading it. Secret Invasion's dropping end of June.
Okay.
Then we get Ahsoka, and they just changed the release date on Marvel from summer 2023 for Loki to coming soon. So it means it's probably going to come out after Ahsoka.
Okay.
So
I
we're
like
gonna
that.
wham bam, thank you, ma'am, like all summer long.
Hell
I
yeah.
love that.
Lots of fun
And,
content.
Yeah, it's going to be good stuff happening.
Good, because I don't have anything on the books for the summertime, so I got lots of time to watch shows and catch up.
Let's say
So-
now's the time to read all those Thrawn canon books. Watch Rebels if you somehow haven't. Like, get ready for Ahsoka. Do your homework.
Bro, I got my wife through half of the Ahsoka Essentials, by the way. She's already up to the end of like the Tales of the Jedi section.
You can do it.
Yeah, and then I'm like, all right, hard stop. We're not doing the Essentials anymore. We're going back to watching Rebels. She's like, oh, but this show. I'm like, she's gonna be there in 5 episodes. You're already 10 through.
Well, yeah, I mean, and honestly, the stuff that she's going to get from Rebels is going to be way more impactful to her Ahsoka experience. Just with the Inquisitors, seeing the 8th brother in the at Malachor, and then seeing that character again. There's a lot of meat on that bone for Rebels, specifically season 2. Season 2 is really where she makes her mark. So,
my wife like loves Ahsoka though. No, she's like, oh, this character is awesome. I'm like,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
like you see why I'm so hyped up.
Yo.
Like,
well, and it's amazing that just like all the other best characters in Star Wars, they got the most hate in their early appearances, right? Whether you're talking about Anakin, both actors that played Anakin caught an immense amount of shit when they played their parts. Ahsoka in the early years, I think up until season 3, was the most hated Star Wars character next to Jar Jar. The amount of hate that these characters got in the early days is baffling, because their stories ended up being the best ones. The story of Ahsoka Tano literally leads you from the Clone Wars to wherever she ends. Like, we don't even know where she ends, and it's amazing because you get everybody's attached to her in some way, shape, or form.
yeah.
She's met everybody. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The fact that there are so many women getting on board with Ahsoka because they see this powerful character that they can relate to, I think is really awesome, because we've had that with Anakin or Palpatine, whichever side of the coin you land on.
Luke, yeah.
I mean, there's so many different characters that we relate to growing up that I think it's great to have somebody like Rosario and Ashley bringing these characters to life, and seeing it at Celebration, seeing all the little girls dressed as a young Ahsoka Tano in all the different get-ups. It was really awesome to see that, even though they hadn't gotten any trailers or anything at the Celebration we went to. So yeah, I think that character gets the love it deserves, being as it's been the anchor through the entire series.
That's there's still something for the guys too. Some of the adult websites feature you still good. But anyway. I don't know what the hell else to talk about Obsession.
It was honestly, I cut mine short because literally we were like, I can only cover so much about 38 minutes. Right,
we
like
dissected the hell out of it with Santa.
I mean, literally, the only
good
thing you
shit.
can do is literally go frame by frame and catch shit. That's it. I mean, that's the only thing you're trying to do now is catch stuff you missed. But I think they laid it all out on the table. I don't think there's any hidden. I don't think there's any hidden storylines right now. I think they're back to start the drawing board again.
Gideon's clone thing opened in its eye. I'm hoping like maybe one of them survived for like a story down the line, but who knows?
And Gideon, give us a new baddie.
I think that Gideon.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
Thrawn is it's time.
Well, I think Lieutenant Biscuits is going to be the key because she knows where all the bodies are buried.
Biscuits.
So I'm taking that from X-Wing. I don't care. I'm taking it. He did a whole thing with calling her Lieutenant Biscuits, and it sticks because all I see her doing is like biting that cookie while she's melting somebody's mind. Yeah, dude. Like I said, we ended early because I was like, yeah, I don't know what else to say about this episode other than congratulations on another good season. I think it's a W. A lot of people think it's an L, but that's how most people feel about everything. So congratulations.
Well,
W.
only one thing left to do then.
Little skinny, isn't she?
I love it.
But to all you haters.
Yeah.
And to all you people that thought this was a bad episode somehow, all I really got to say is where the hell did this one go?
Do it.
I can't find it. Oh, here it is. And
that little bear.
And one day soon, the Bad Batch season 3 will be out, and then we'll just get more of.
It's let's go! Bad Batch hype!
Sun's out, guns out.
I'm just gonna go through all my clips right now. All right, man. It's been real. Obsession. You got anything going on this week?
Yeah, just the giveaway this weekend. Get in the Discord if you want to get a chance to get in the giveaway. That's it. That's happening Sunday. Private stream. Let's go.
Yeah, join his to be part of that giveaway. And if you want to play Jedi Survivor, make sure to join my membership so that you can get the, actually play it with the console. Get a game if you end up winning Obsessions and then winning mine, So
there you go.
We're going to be giving away Survivor, though, in 9 days when it comes out. Jedi. And
nice.
then I'm also going to be doing the Rebels rewatch here on Saturday. We're going to start with the first 3 episodes. So I'll see you guys for that as well.
And next Thursday, for all you people that know what football is, the NFL draft is happening. And last year, me and Sheev sat on stream for about 4 hours and covered the whole thing because we weren't going to do anything else anyway. And it was fun as hell. Don't even be honest with you. I don't even care if you show up. We're still going to do it because it was fun. And,
there was like nobody in the stream at one point last time, and it was still fun as hell. So
did not care at all. So show up if you want to. We're going to be having fun. So maybe that'll reflect on you. Maybe it won't. I don't give a shit. But and also awesome little piece of NFL information going on with that. My team, the Chicago Bears, had the #1 pick and traded it to Chiefs team, the Panthers. So we're tied into this NFL draft very intrinsically. It is all the chips have fallen exactly the right way for us to have an awesome draft party. There's probably going to be all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the background. It's definitely getting copyrighted. So yeah. Why am I hyping this up even though I don't care?
I was going to say, warn YouTube now. Get their content creators, get the content copywriters up just ready to go,
Doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I
don't care if you show up. I don't care what you're doing that day. I don't care about nothing. Just get out of here.
Yeah, just don't care. But anyway, I'm going to we're done. Later.
We're done. I'm out. We're done.